Following his return from India, Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal has informed the House of Representatives about the agreements reached with the southern neighbours during his state visit. Saying that his India visit was significant and successful, Premier Dahal informed that the Parliament, in fact, no agreements were signed that would be against the national interests. Good evening, I'm Sarah Sapsanama. Let's begin with the headlines of the hour. Heated discussions at the Parliament regarding the Prime Minister's recent India visit and the authentication of the Citizenship Bill. Premier Dahal assures no secret agreements have been signed with India. Operation of integrated checkpost in Nepalganj to take another year. Prime Ministers of Nepal and India rush to inaugurate the post before constructions complete. Multiple people familiar with U.S. intelligence claim Ukraine has cultivated a network of agents and sympathizers inside Russia working to carry out acts of sabotage against Russian targets. And ANFA commits to providing preparation expenses to 8 Division League clubs. Time for players to prepare for SAF Championship, which kicks off in 2 weeks, inadequate. Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal has said that no secret agreements or treaties were signed during his recent India visit. Addressing today's meeting of the House of Representatives, Premier Dahal informed about the agreements between the two countries and claimed that no secret agreements or treaties have been signed. However, there were heated discussions between the ruling side and the opposition at the lower house meeting for some time, which was difficult for even Speaker Devraj Khimere to control. Terming his India visit significant and successful, Premier Dahal said that agreements against national interests were not signed. Saying that no secret agreements were signed regarding the border dispute, Premier Dahal said that the Bangladesh model could be implemented, but added that no agreement was reached in this regard. He went on to add that he had proposed for identifying solutions related to border dispute through diplomatic channels. He also claimed that he had not proposed for exchanging Kalapani, Lipulek and Limpiathura for a route to Bangladesh. Prime Minister Dahal said that in his conversations with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he had mentioned that the Nepal-India relations could not be eased without finding long-term and permanent solutions for border disputes between the two countries. Meanwhile, Premier Dahal has also defended the Citizenship Bill. He said that the bill certified by President Ramchandra Paudel was introduced by previous governments of CPN-UML chairperson KP Sharma Oli and Nepali Congress President Sher Bahadur Dewa. He, however, clarified that he was in favor of a few years of wait requirement for citizenship for women marrying a Nepali national. Prior to that, main opposition CPN-UML had obstructed the parliament meeting immediately after its beginning by protesting against the certification of the Citizenship Bill and topic of border disputes during the Prime Minister's India visit. Lawmakers of the ruling and opposition parties had argued for a while after Rashtra Swatantra Party lawmaker Shishir Khanal said that Prime Minister Dahal had returned from India on buffaloes. Speaker Devraj Khimere had directed to remove the words from the record of the parliament. The Parliament is where laws are made, where issues concerning the general lives and the country are discussed. However, in recent time, lawmakers have turned it into a platform for blame games. Many lawmakers at the House of Representatives session held today were found throwing allegations onto one another. Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal was scheduled to inform the Parliament of the developments from his India visit. However, lawmakers had to be reminded by the Speaker time and again to maintain parliamentary discipline. Yesterday's session was also obstructed by lawmakers from opposition parties UML, Rashtra Swatantra Party and Rashtriya Prajatantra Party to protest against certification of the Citizenship Bill by the President and Premier Dahal's statement during his India visit. Only recently, lawmakers of main opposition CPN-UML obstructed the parliament session over the use of brass instead of gold in Pashupatinath Temple during the tenure of KP Sharma Oli as Prime Minister. The previous term of the parliament was no different, with frequent obstructions. This time, 11 bills are pending at the lower house and 2 bills at the National Assembly, while many other bills are awaiting registration. However, the lack of smooth operation of the parliament has affected regular procedures and thematic committees are still devoid of leadership. Moving on, Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal and his Indian counterpart Narendra Modi had virtually inaugurated the Nepalganj Integrated Checkpost ICP last Thursday during Dahal's visit to India. However, government officials say it will take another year for the checkpost to come into operation. As Western Nepal's main trade transit in Jamuna was congested, an agreement was reached with India 2 decades ago to construct a new integrated customs checkpost. Then Labour and Transport Secretary Narayan Prasad Silwal and then Indian Ambassador to Nepal Shyam Saran had signed an agreement regarding ICP construction on 23rd of February 2004 for the Indian side to construct a new entry point for financial and trade transactions at the Jaispur and Saigaon area towards the west of Nepalganj Customs Office. It's time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
But before today's question, let's take a look at the results from yesterday's poll. Yesterday, we asked you, why does House session get frequently disrupted? 67% voted for option A due to monopoly of ruling parties, 13% for B, stubborn opposition, and 20% for C, regular process. And here's today's question. Why has the arrangement been introduced which allows those without an academic background in teaching subject to appear for teachers' license examination? Your options are A, to enhance quality, B, lack of human resource, and C, wrong intentions. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B, or C, and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Now, in our Public Voice segment, today we've asked people in several provinces, how has the rising temperatures affected their day-to-day lives? Let's take a look at what they had to say.
Public Voice.
यो गर्मीमा काम गर्नु पाएको छैन, कसरी खानु, के गर्नु, कसरी केटाकेटी पाल्नु।
लु लाग्ने अवस्था भइसकेको छ अनि नाक पनि पुरै त्यो सुकेको सुकै छ।
धेरै नै असर पारिरहेछ दाइ, काम थियो सधैँ निस्किन त्यो मन लाग्दैन।
लु लागे जस्तो भछ, बाहिर निस्किनै सकिन। अहिले हेर्नु न यति घाम छ,
काम नगरिकन खाना पुग्दैन।
जति गर्मी परे पनि मजबुरी गरेर पेट पाल्नु पर्छ।
ज्वरो आउने, रेगटा लाग्ने जस्ता समस्याहरू टोलटोलमा देखिया छन्।
बिहानदेखि बसेको चाहिँ काम छैन, गरी खाने मान्छे।
काम भएर निस्क्यो अनि प्रत्येक दिन निस्किँदैन घरबाट बाहिर।
गर्मीले गर्दा साना बालबालिकाहरूलाई स्कुल पढ्न जान ओर्नलाई पनि समस्या भइरहेछ।
खरिडी भइरहेछ, त्यो मूलको पानी पनि आइराखेको छैन।
दैनिक जलाधारी गर्ने मजदुरहरूलाई धेरै नै यसले प्रतिकूल प्रभाव पारेछ।
बिहान 8 बजेदेखि लिएर बेलुका 6 बजेसम्म तातो नै तातो महसुस हुन्छ।
व्यापार व्यवसाय छैन, गर्मीले मान्छे घरबाट निस्के छैन।
घरदेखि बाहिर निस्किन पनि अलिकति गाह्रो नै अवस्था परेको अवस्था।
केटाकेटीलाई चाहिँ स्कुल पठाउन पनि गाह्रो भएको छ।
घाम र चिसो, बेलुकातिर 12 बजेदेखि फेरि चिसो भइहाल्छ। त्यसको असर चाहिँ अहिले घाँटीमा चाहिँ भइरहेछ। कफ आउने, खोकी लाग्ने।
Time now for the international update. Multiple people familiar with U.S. intelligence have said Ukraine has cultivated a network of agents and sympathizers inside Russia working to carry out acts of sabotage against Russian targets and has begun providing them with drones to stage attacks. U.S. officials believe these pro-Ukrainian agents inside Russia carried out a drone attack that targeted the Kremlin in early May by launching drones from within Russia rather than flying them from Ukraine into Moscow. U.S. officials believe that Ukraine has developed sabotage cells inside Russia made up of a mix of pro-Ukrainian sympathizers and operatives well trained in this kind of warfare. It's time now for the sports update.
Sports news.
Top-flight domestic clubs have agreed to continue to play the Martyrs Memorial A Division League after All Nepal Football Association (ENFA) agreed to provide preparation expenses and match money to them. An emergency meeting of the All Nepal Football Association and the A Division League clubs was held earlier today. As per the agreement, ENFA will disburse by this Friday the match money and the amount to be received by the player of the match. Likewise, an agreement to disburse all amount for preparation expenses within 45 days was reached between ENFA and the A Division League clubs. After consensus was reached on all the disputed issues, the A Division League clubs have agreed to play the remaining 2 rounds of the league matches. Prior to this, the clubs had warned of not participating in the remaining matches. Out of the 3,250,000 rupees to be provided by ENFA for preparation expenses, it had provided the clubs 1,450,000 rupees in the first installment. As the clubs failed to receive the remaining installment with the A-Division League reaching towards the end of the season, they held a press conference a week ago and stated that ENFA had done them injustice. Nepal national football team's biggest aspiration is to win the SAF Championship. Team Nepal have not won the tournament in its history of 28 years. However, Nepal's preparation for each edition of the tournament is inadequate. Despite being placed in a tough group, Team Nepal are heading for the tournament with just 1 day of training. The Martyrs Memorial A-Division League concludes on the 10th of June. Players will be released only after the conclusion of the domestic top flight. Players who have featured in the A-Division without adequate break will be in the one-day closed camp under coach Vincenzo Alberto Anis. Team Nepal are to play a friendly against the Philippines on 15th of June. A week later, Team Nepal will compete in the SAF Championship, which includes 8 sides, including 2 invited teams. Team Nepal are placed alongside defending champions India, Kuwait, who have already played the World Cup, and Pakistan, who have players with experience in English football. However, Team Nepal are yet to begin their preparations. The Martyrs Memorial A-Division League is in an interesting point as it battles in the relegation zones and the championship race have intensified. The All Nepal Football Association, ENFA, had called a closed camp without any discussions with the clubs. Following the stance of the clubs against releasing players while the league was underway, coach Vincenzo Alberto Anisi had to limit the closed camp to a single day. Clubs and ENFAs are divided on several issues, while the National Football Governing Body is yet to release the preparation amount to the clubs. In absence of a proper calendar, the ENFA officials do not even have any plans about international tournaments and participation. The entity is considering the league, which is operating in a sorry state, as a preparation for the upcoming tournament. ENFA has claimed that a single day of closed camp and 1 friendly match would be adequate for the SAF Championship. Before the previous edition of the tournament, Nepal had adequate international exposure. On the basis of international tournaments and regular friendlies, Team Nepal had progressed to the final of SAF Championship held in Maldives. However, placed in a strong group, Team Nepal are likely to struggle to make it past the group stage in the upcoming tournament. Up next is the weather update. That is all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Good night.